All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this afternoon's live commentary coverage of North Wilkesboro Speedway as the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series is in hand for their first race at the short track and only race here this weekend. And of course, the NASCAR Cup Series tomorrow will be returning in points race form for the first time in 20 years. Now, as of the last 3 years since NASCAR's return to North Wilkesboro for the All-Star Race weekend, the Craftsman Truck Series has had a points-paying race in every one of those 3 years. A lot of wild and chaotic action, some crazy overtime finishes may be on the horizon today, as we have already seen that in recent years. Thank you, everybody, tuning in here for this afternoon's coverage of the Faith. Let me get the sponsor on here. I don't have the raw feed. Title sponsor of the race, the Faith Fest 250. I wanted to make sure I had that right. Bam Hall, Billy Kramer, Raymond Joss, Tim Brown, Marcus Villarreal, and others, welcome to the stream. Stacked field for today's lineup. We're going to go through the starting lineup here in a matter of moments. Just waiting on NASCAR.com to get the raw feed up and running, because for right now they don't have anything. Excuse me. Let's log out of NASCAR.com and try logging back in to see if they've got anything. Yeah, nothing on the live leaderboard side of things yet, so we're going to have to wait to go through the starting lineup. Let's see, qualified order, not that. Yeah, that's just the metric system for the qualifying order. That's what I thought that was. All right, so while we're waiting on the starting lineup to pop up on screen, we'll go through the point standings here first. Lane Riggs coming into this race just got his win streak snapped. He had won 3 weeks in a row, or 3 races in a row, I should say, up until the last race weekend, which was last week on a standalone event at Lime Rock Park. Winner of that race is Grant Enfinger, who got his first win in about 2 years in the series. Enfinger has moved up into the chase standings with that good points paying day. He is now 9th in points entering this week. We have not seen many truck regulars win a race this season. Only 4 regulars in the truck series that are there every week have won. Enfinger, of course, being the 4th of which. The other 3, top 3 in points. Riggs with 4 wins, 1 for Honeycutt and 1 for Chandler Smith in the season opener at Daytona. The stacked field for today, the likes of Carson Hocevar, Christopher Bell, Chase Elliott, Corey Heim, Shane Van Gisbergen, the return of Ryan Newman. It's going to be a fun one, an all-star lineup. And to start things off here today, Lane Riggs on the pole, trying to go for a win at North Wilkesboro Speedway. Dominating this race last year was Corey Heim. The drivers who were right there with him were the Front Row Motorsport Fords of both Chandler Smith and Lane Riggs, as they were for most of the short track races in 2025 and really early in 2026 as well. With Lane Riggs qualifying on the pole, you would imagine he might be the favorite for the win, but he is going to have a lot of company up there, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. 250 laps are scheduled distance for this one. This is one of the longer Truck Series races of the season, and we're going to have a pretty long Cup race tomorrow of 450 laps. That will be under the lights. Quite surprised that today's race is not at night, but it is in the afternoon. We have seen an afternoon race here in the past for the Truck Series. It is very hot, 90-degree day, ambient temperature up over 115 degrees, or sorry, not ambient, track temperature up over 115 degrees with the 90-degree ambient temp. So these drivers are going to have their work cut out for them from just a comfortability standpoint, because I don't think they're going to be very comfortable. Gonna hop onto Racing Reference. We're just going to kind of review what the last 3 races for the Truck Series at North Wilkesboro have been in the last few years. And we have seen some Cup Series regulars race here before. So not abnormal that we have quite the starting lineup that we do. For some reason, North Wilkesboro Speedway is on here twice. All right, so we'll go down to the Truck Series. Kyle Larson winning in 2023, which was still on the old surface. And then with the repave a couple years ago, Corey Heim and Chandler Smith were the winners of those two races. The first year the Truck Series had returned at 12 cautions. That would be the track record. We had a lot of yellows last weekend in the final stage at Lime Rock. Not as many as what we did in the O'Reilly race at Atlanta on Saturday night, but the Truck Series has had a caution fest here before. Probably going to be looking somewhere between what the last two races have been here, since that is on the newer repaved surface. A lot of grip this racetrack has. Starting position doesn't really seem to matter much. Corey Heim started 12th in 2024, was still able to win. Chandler Smith started 14th last year and was able to win the race with help from his teammate Lane Riggs. Both Heim and Riggs restarted on the front row for that final restart, had contact with one another, and Chandler Smith was able to pull through into victory lane. And as far as the mileage for all these races is concerned, we have gone to overtime 2 of the 3 races as well. Lead changes in that 6 to 7 range. We will have live pit stops today. I know we didn't last week because that was a standalone event. This is not. So going to be a lot of fun to watch all the action. Pull up the broadcast on my phone. They just gave the command to fire engines, so we're not going to be too far from the green flag from where we are currently sitting. Dave Martz, Terry Lewis, Regine Huddleston, Billy Kramer, thanks for tuning into the stream also. We've already got about 13 likes on the stream. Be sure to hit the like button if you have not done so. Our goal is going to be 50 likes for the Truck Series race stream at North Wilkesboro. As soon as the raw feed becomes available, I will obviously have that data on a lap-by-lap basis up on the channel screen, so you can see that throughout the course of today's live commentary. I will pull the starting lineup up on my phone so we can at least go through that while they're on a commercial break. And when they come back, cars will be on the racetrack and we'll be going green here shortly. So Lane Riggs going to be on the pole, as I mentioned moments ago, looking for his 5th win in the series this season. Carson Hocevar, a win at Texas in the Truck Series earlier this year, also a runner-up at Atlanta, will be on the outside of row number 1, as he is going to be a threat for today's race. Christopher Bell, a one-time winner this season at Bristol, and Corey Heim, who has won 3 truck races in just 5 starts in the series this season, will roll off in 4th in row 2. And row number 3 will be Gio Ruggiero and Chase Elliott, another Cup regular. He is in the 7 for Spire Motorsports. Caden Honeycutt second in points, and last week's race winner Grant Enfinger will make up row number 4, with row 5 Chandler Smith, last year's North Wilkesboro winner, and Stuart Friesen in row 5. Row 6 will be Cole Butcher and Nick Lights piloting the 1 for Tricon Garage, Justin Haley and Taylor Gray in row number 7. Row 8 for Jake Garcia, Landon Lewis, Dawson Sutton, Christian Eckes, row 9, and another Cup regular in the field, Shane Van Gisbergen, making his 3rd start in the Truck Series, and Andres Perez in row 10. Row number 11 will be Daniel Hemrick, who's had a bit of a struggle this season, and Ben Rhodes a struggle as of late, trying to make up their bad qualifying efforts from earlier today. And row number 12 will be Brennan Queen alongside Tyler Ankrum, who are outside the cut line. Queen is that, for that matter, for Ram, trying to move his way inside the cut line. I mentioned already the return of Ryan Newman. The Rocket Man is in the field today. He'll start on the inside of row number 13 alongside Chris Wright. It'll be the first truck start for Newman since 2008. In row number 9 will be 14, will be Ty Majeski and Minnie Tyrell, the rookie. Luke Baldwin with Tyler Reif. In row 15, we saw Reif competing for a win in his last truck start in the final closing laps at San Diego. Unfortunately, was unable to hold on to get that first career win, but he is back again here this weekend. And it'll be interesting to see what he can do on a short flat oval. Casey Klein and Donovan Strauss will be in row number 16, making their first truck starts of the season. Nathan Nicholson with Corey LaJoy starting deep in the field in row 17. Row 18 for Clayton Green and Frankie Muniz rounding out the field. So that is the starting lineup for today's race. 70 laps in both Stage 1 and Stage 2. And the final stage will be 110 laps to make up the total distance for today's race. They will not have to pit for fuel or tire purposes in any of the 3 stages. This is a track that is a little bit over a half mile in length. Short track racing at its traditional form. North Wilkesboro Speedway, and there's not really a short track that's quite like it in the world, or at least in the U.S. that I know of. kind of an incline as you work your way up the back straightaway, a decline on the front stretch. You don't see elevation changes like that on these shorter tracks, and really most ovals in general. Usually, when you see elevation change, it's just the banking and the degrees of banking in the corners, but not here at North Wilkesboro. It's relatively flat, but again, you got that downhill acceleration into turn one, uphill into turn three, making the entry points to both ends of the racetrack so much different from one another. Probably going to see some beating and banging, especially in this truck race this afternoon. It's a hot, slick racetrack, fun to watch drivers slipping and sliding around. We're going to have a lot of that here this weekend. For more late breaking updates, I'll let you listen in to the Fox Sports 1 booth. Todd Bodine, Michael Waltrip, the commentators on the call, on the play-by-play.
To check in with Amanda Busick and Josh Sims. Good afternoon, Amanda.
Hey, Brent, yeah, and right there on that front row, welcome back to Carson Hocevar for his 10th start here in the Truck Series. He picked up that win earlier in Texas, but I talked to him about the star power that we're seeing in this race today, and he talked about how difficult and challenging that this race will be specifically. I asked him what will give him the edge in this one, and he said, I don't mind racing hard. Let's tear some stuff up today. You go back to the front three rows. It's Carson Hocevar. Behind him is Corey Heim. And behind him, Josh, is Chase Elliott.
That's right, and Chase Elliott is back in a truck for the first time in over 3 years, but the 2020 Cup Series champion has plenty of seat time right here in North Wilkesboro. Of course, those 3 all-star races took part in the doubleheader of the late model races last night as well. As far as his truck, when they unloaded yesterday, way too free, but they went to work, and the team told me by the end of that practice session, they had a truck that could compete for a win. So look for Chase Elliott and his return to the Truck Series to be a major factor as he rolls off in the top 10, guys.
Josh, Amanda, well done. And as Josh mentioned during practice and qualifying yesterday, there are 7 drivers in the field today that have combined for 65 career Cup wins. Let's go track description presented by Craftsman.
Yeah, you can see just over a half mile in length. The turns make 13 degrees, and these numbers are great, but they don't tell the story. It's uphill, it's downhill. This is a wild racetrack. They're going to be racing all the way from the apron to that outside wall. What a great track for great short track racing.
And Todd, how about the race analysis here today?
Well, it's pretty simple. 250 laps, 70-70, the first 2 stages, the final stage, 110. And I think that this is going to be a race that's going to lend itself to some strategy. If we get that caution before, then we're going to see some guys, some crews going some strategy.
Speaking of, let's talk about the Poet fuel strategy.
Wouldn't you say some stage flippers might be happening here today? You got to make sure you do, when you do hit pit road, you're going to fill her up. You're going to fill her up twice. That gives you more options. The cautions, whenever they fall, could dictate when these guys come to pit road. The winner last year, Trent hit it 3 times. You know how many laps he led? 1.
Amazing. It's going to be crazy out there.
They went best one.
The fuel strategy sponsored by Zero Carbon Bioethanol. Well, on board here today, including that 25 of Ryan Newman in the Ram.
It'll be fun to watch. Trying to cut his way through this field. There's Ryan.
And the 38, Chandler Smith with the Ford Racing on board.
Guess who led that one lap?
It's incredible. I mean, it was, and we'll show later on the way that thing finished out. How about some Chandler Smith radio?
Appreciate you guys all the truck this weekend, home racing for it. Lots of help you out here. You too. Appreciate y'all and everything that y'all labored over. Appreciate it. Have fun. Truck you there at the end.
So he won this race last year. He won Daytona to open this season. He gets the weekend 3rd in points. Again, with 4 races left before the chase. Getting set to go green at this iconic venue. Built in 47. NASCAR came here for the first time in 49. The trucks raced here for the first time in the mid-90s and returned in 2023, and it's been exciting and dramatic ever since.
What a beautiful field of trucks. What a beautiful crowd.
What a beautiful crowd, beautiful day.
The competition, the venue. We got it all, don't we, bud?
Yes, sir. Doesn't get a whole lot better. Todd, you're one of the best to ever do it in this truck series. Michael, 2-time Daytona 500 winner.
never changes the excitement as they come off turf. And take
That crowd here at North Wilkesboro Speedway for the Craftsman truck race. Green flag is in the air. Our starter for this one, Lane Riggs on the outside of row 1. Hocevar on the inside of row number 1. First turn, slide job already. Pulls up in front of Lane Riggs and will take the early lead. Up the racetrack goes Hocevar, though, on the other end through turns 3 and 4, and Lane Riggs will drag race him down the front stretch. Hocevar by inches will lead the opening lap. Side by side, and now 3 wide for the lead down to the bottom of the racetrack as the 2 front runners will go wide into turns 1 and 2. Down on the inside of that third lane is Corey Heim in the 5, trying to press forward. Hocevar clear for the lead up out of turn 4. Struggled to try to get the power down for Heim to get by both of those race trucks in front of him. We've seen Heim win races in the number 1 truck for Tricon Garage this season. He's actually in the number 5 here today, which we have not seen him in that truck number so far this season. And again, 3 wins for Corey Heim so far in the Truck Series season in only 5 starts. Hocevar leading all but 1 lap so far. Lane Riggs was credited with 1 lap led, so a couple of early lead changes. Top 5 in the running order after a handful of laps into the race. Carson Hocevar leads with Lane Riggs in 2nd, Corey Heim 3rd, Christopher Bell in 4th, and Chase Elliott round out the top 5 in 5th. Only full-time truck regular in the top 5 is Lane Riggs in 2nd, who started on pole. Has not won at North Wilkesboro Speedway, but he has won at a lot of short tracks in the Craftsman Truck Series over his what is now 3 full-time seasons in the series, this being his 3rd. Breakout year for Riggs with having those 4 wins, 3 in a row prior to last weekend. A pretty tight battle for the lead again now between Riggs and Hocevar. Carson Hocevar not wrapping the bottom of the racetrack. He's been in that middle to upper groove on both ends of the speedway. That opens the door for the truck of Riggs to wrap the white line, get to the inside on both ends of the track. The problem is Hocevar is getting a much more straight line exit speed. He can get back into the gas a little bit sooner in that wider line than what Lane Riggs is able to do. So what does Riggs do? He backs off. He goes to the outside, but a wider line than Hocevar's running, still kind of in that middle groove. And right back to the bottom goes Riggs as he struggles for front bite. A little bit of a wiggle in that race truck as he pulls back into the throttle off turn 4, trails behind Hocevar. But he is not going anywhere. It's still a tight battle up at the front of the field. Another battle on the racetrack inside the top 5. Caden Honeycutt and the 7 of Chase Elliott are side by side currently for 5th, with Hocevar on the bottom lane and Chase Elliott working that outer line. First truck start for Chase Elliott in 3+ seasons. So he is still trying to get acclimated here in this truck, but he has had at least some on-track activity prior to today's race, running both cars to this week at North Wilkesboro, and obviously in the truck race prior to Cub, getting as much seat time as he can to help him for Sunday night. Hocevar with 10+ laps led already, currently finishing lap number 11. Riggs with 1 lap led from the pole. Top 3 trucks still within a second of the lead. Heim is still up there, about 9/10 back of the leaders. Bell trailing not that far behind Corey Heim, while Chase Elliott falling backwards just a bit, got passed by Honeycutt moments ago, and now Chandler Smith, last year's race winner in 6th place, will take that spot away from Elliott. Smith 3rd in points entering today. Kind of briefly went over the point standings, but not too in depth, and there it is. And you can see that scrolling across the top of the screen throughout today's broadcast as well. Lane Riggs 44 points ahead of Caden Honeycutt entering this weekend. Caden was able to trim into that gap just a bit after last weekend's race. Chandler Smith minus 154, minus 155 for Christian Eckes. Gio Ruggiero sits 5th in points, and Ty Majeski 6th, Ben Rhodes 7th. Daniel Hemrick 8th with a win last week at Lime Rock Park for Grant Enfinger. He is now above the Chase cut line in 9th, and Tyler Ankrum has the final spot in on points in 10th over Stuart Friesen in that gap entering today is about 17 points. Also 17 points back is Jake Garcia. Another 4 back beyond that is going to be Brennan Queen, the rookie. And then Andres Perez sneaking up into 14th place. Oddly enough, Corey Heim, despite running 9 less races this season, 17th in points. And if he has another good performance today, which he's very well capable of, I'm kind of curious to see where he's going to be in points after today's race. Also, he is not chase eligible for the trucks because he's not running every race per NASCAR rule, but that is what we're looking at. Under caution for the first time today, as we had a spin on the racetrack moments ago while I was going through the points. It looks like the Ford truck has gone around. That's Strauss, who I believe is making his second truck start of the season. We saw him in another short track a little earlier this year. And speaking of short tracks, if we look at the rest of the regular season for the Craftsman Truck Series, all short, flat ovals here today at North Wilkesboro, and then 3 more races in the regular season after today as we go to Indianapolis next week, but not the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. No, it's going to be, again, the short track IRP Indianapolis Raceway Park at Lucas Oil Indianapolis Raceway Park. Should be a fun one. Friday night next weekend. And that is going to be an old, worn-out surface and more beating and banging. And if that wasn't good enough, we got more short track racing for you after that. A couple of off weeks, of course, in between the IRP race and then the race at Richmond, but Richmond Raceway coming up on the schedule. And although it's considered an intermediate track because of its length being 1 mile, New Hampshire Motor Speedway for the regular season finale on August 22nd. There will be another off week in between the Richmond race and then New Hampshire, but that will be on the schedule as well. Excuse me. And it will be, again, the regular season finale at New Hampshire, 1 mile flat oval. So all 1 mile or less in length racetracks and all primarily flatter short tracks at that. Could open things up for maybe somebody to dominate this portion of the schedule leading into that chase run. Chase is going to consist of 7 races, with the first race of the chase being another short track at Bristol. So really, we've got like 5 straight short tracks, 4 to end the regular season, 1 to open the chase up. And then Kansas Speedway will be the second race of the chase. A Friday night race under the lights at Charlotte should be an interesting one on an oval. Of course, the Roval last year, first time for the trucks, but we're going to be running a Charlotte Oval fall race for all 3 series. Friday night at Phoenix Raceway after that, followed by Talladega on a Friday afternoon, and then another Martinsville race for Friday night and Homestead Miami Speedway. Most of the Truck Series races to finish out the season will be Friday, minus the Thursday night race at Bristol, because that Cup race is on a Saturday, so they run the Thursday, Friday, Saturday show, and then the Saturday afternoon race at Kansas Speedway. New Hampshire regular season finale also going to be on Saturday, so only 2 more Saturday races left for the trucks, 1 Thursday night race, and the rest going to be sitting on Fridays for the rest of the year. For scheduling side of things, a few more off weeks thrown in there, a couple in the chase itself as well. 269 laps led for Lane Riggs this season, most of the Truck Series regulars. Got to lead 1 early before Carson Hocevar took the lead on lap 2 and has led ever since. And we're going to have another restart coming up. Hocevar took the inside of road number 1, had a slide job in the first turn, almost cleared Lane Riggs. By the end of the second lap, he was able to get by completely. And I wonder if he takes the inside of road number 1 again. This time there'll be the controlled truck, so he can maybe even get a better launch. Problem is if he cannot clear Lane Riggs, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to fend him off in laps after the fact from the bottom lane. And Riggs looked a little bit faster than Hocevar in those early laps, just couldn't make the pass on him. Lights are out of the pace truck. We should be going green this time by at lap 20. Again, 70 laps in stage 1 here today. Lisa Jones, Pete Creamer. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Steve J, welcome to the stream. All right, green flag back in the air. Hocevar did take the outside of row 1 for this restart. Not having to try to fight for the top. He is clear up out of turn 2 with the lead. Down into turns 3 and 4. Riggs on the bottom, trying to pull back up alongside of the 77. And here we go again, door to door. This time, Christopher Bell's in third place and creeping in behind Riggs as he had gotten by Corey Heim on the restart. Side by side for fifth, Caden Honeycutt and Chandler Smith. It does seem like Riggs has better wrap in the bottom in turns 3 and 4 than 1 and 2. Turns 1 and 2, a wider arc, doesn't actually get all the way to the bottom there. He had to give a little bit of room to Christopher Bell, who was able to sneak his way to the inside of the 34. Bell in the 62 for Friesen Hallmore Racing in that Toyota Tundra. Was able to win in a short track at Bristol earlier this season, so we'll see if he can get another short track win today. Each of the top 5, in fact, have all won at some point this season in the Truck Series. Scratch that, I'll say even top 6 because Honeycutt's got the win at Watkins Glen. So all really the best this series has had to offer in 2026. No surprise, they're all up at the front of the field right now. I'll see if the raw feed is working on NASCAR.com. It hasn't been up and running for me on the NASCAR.com website, so that's why I've got the leaderboard on FoxSports.com on the right-hand side of our screen here, so at least you can see who is running up at the front of the field. We've got the top 10 on screen right now. More than 25 laps into the race, Carson Hocevar is your race leader. Lane Riggs in second, Christopher Bell third, Corey Heim fourth, and Chandler Smith rounding out the top 5 in fifth, with Caden Honeycutt in sixth, Chase Elliott seventh, Gio Ruggiero eighth, Grant Enfinger ninth, and Stuart Friesen rounding out the top 10.
It's what they do with you. Just trying to climb through the field here.
This is one of the best short track races in the country.
Right.
And I talked about earlier being able to pick a winner that's back in 27th, 30th position. Well, he's back there, and he's struggling mightily. Making a few passes here and there, but it's been tough. He's up to 22nd, and I just speaks to the level of the competition here in the Truck Series.
And also, if the truck is just not what you need, it's hard to make time and make speed. But him and crew chief, temporary crew chief, Jared Prince, J-Rod, they'll make some adjustments. They'll get better. Josh has more.
Well, that's right. Their normal crew chief, Joe Shear Jr., is out sick. So, like you mentioned, J-Rod Prince, who's a longtime crew chief, is stepping in, as well as their mechanic, Martin Hill, is making the calls at the top of the pit box. But I talked to Ty this morning, and he felt like in practice yesterday, they were okay, but because of what happened last week at Lime Rock, where they had the DNF, it set them up poorly for qualifying, and the problems just compounded themselves. So he knew he was going to start deep in the field. He said, we're going to have to do something different early on in this race in terms of strategy to get that track position back. He doesn't think the truck is all that bad, but he knows how hard it is to pass here. And right now, he really hasn't been able to make any moves that 88 truck does.
You know what? I love what you said there, Josh. The truck isn't that bad. And I guarantee you, he thinks with the right adjustments and the right play on strategy. And I think we're going to have to leverage strategy today because you're going to lean on that and try to get those that track position because it's so hard to pass.
Now for 6th here, Honeycutt in the 11, Chase Elliott on the bottom in the 7th. How about Michael Waldrick from Wilkesboro, Kentucky, getting that leverage in there?
Well, there's a 60-50 chance that Michael could watch a little bit of the Open. Listening to those folks call a golf match is just simply fun to do.
Chandler Smith is not giving up on Corey Heim. He is not determined to get that spot. You can see those
front 3 trucks are driving away from him, because he knows he needs to get around them. Back some track speed, track position.
Doesn't this battle between Chandler and Corey remind you exactly of this battle for the lead? We've seen it repeatedly. Riggs, I think, is a better truck, but he simply cannot get the job done right now.
It's a very 5 minutes from there.
Might he try to get a little higher in 1 and 2? No, he takes it just below the top groove there as he battles against Carson.
Well, from the driver's input, NASCAR gave these trucks a little more gear, so it turns more RPM, which helps the bottom lane. And this is why, because you can see that Riggs is just struggling down there. He just can't complete the pass because Carson has so much momentum on the outside. Way through this first stage, 70 laps on the first, 70 on the second, then 110. The third and final stage, and Savar has let them all.
Let them all. The hurricane.
I tell you, Mike, I really like what Carson's doing here. We're that higher line. It's not as hard on the tires, not using as much brake, keep rolling better, get more momentum off the corner. He was the winner at Texas earlier this season, second in Atlanta. He was third at Michigan. Let's see how long it takes the lane to move up and try what Carson's doing, or at least, like you said, maybe move to the middle of the track a little bit.
I know these guys are constantly thinking men's racers. They understand that maybe they can move a little bit. Trying to take care of those tires a little bit and race down toward the end of stage one. Not forcing the issue. I like that a lot. We saw Chase Elliott fading back earlier, but now he seems to have gotten that 7 truck in the wind. He's heating up that 11 truck of K3.
To the tailgate of the 11 of Honeycutt, looking for the pass. It's the battle for 6th. Lap number 40 here in the Faith Fest 250 in North Wilkesboro.
All throughout this field, Chandler Smith finally made his way around Torrey Heim up to 4th. I think he might have the best truck that I'm seeing, be able to be versatile with his line and make some moves. There's that beautiful number 38 truck.
9th up to 4th for last year's winner in this race.
Last time by, the fastest truck on the track. 1/100th of a second time.
That was the fastest.
Check out those biggest movers. Christian Eckes, that's impressive. Tyler Wright off that wonderful run that he had at Lime Rock. And
San Diego.
Coronado.
He was awesome at Coronado until the very last lap.
It was so sad. I mean, he had it in his hands. But Christian, it's impressive.
What's impressive about what Christian's done is the trucks he's passed are very high quality trucks. Trucks running into the front of the pack to get to pass 10 of them. That's very impressive. Must have a very good truck. And 91 started 18th. He's up to 8th.
Just got around Gio Ruggiero. See Gio back there. And looking at that battle straight up my head with Chase Elliott and Honeycutt. You like to see that, don't you, Todd? If they're catching trucks, them being side by side, and you said, I'm going to get here even quicker than you think.
So, attaboys, I'll get there. Don't worry. I'll make it 3 rides for you. We will step aside here on FS1. Race 15 of the season at historic North Wilkesboro in the Faith Fest 250.
Full field running order with Carson Hocevar, our race leader after the first 46 laps led. Pole sitter Lane Riggs still sits in second with Christopher Bell third and a fast-charging Chandler Smith up to 4th. In 5th is Corey Heim fading back just a bit. Caden Honeycutt in 6th. Chase Elliott 7th. Christian Eckes 8th. Giro 9th. And Grant Enfinger rounding out the top 10. 11th is Stuart Friesen with Nick Lights up to 12th. Holt Butcher in 13th. Andres Perez 14th. And Taylor Gray 15th. Tanner Gray in 15th. 16th is Dawson Sutton. Shane Van Gisbergen in 17th. Landon Lewis is in 18th. Ty Majeski 19th. And Ben Rhodes in 20th. 21st, Daniel Hemrick with Tyler Reif at 22nd, Jake Garcia 23rd, Tyler Anker 24th, and Justin Haley 25th. Brennan Queen in 26th, Klein in 27th, Corey LaJoy 28th, Chris Wright 29th, and Strauss in 30th. Minnie Tyrell 31st, Ryan Newman 32nd, 33rd, Frankie Muniz, Luke Baldwin 34th, Clayton Green 35th, and Nathan Nicholson rounds out the 36th place position All 36 trucks that started the race are still in it, and as of right now, we have 24 of the 36 on the lead lap. One caution so far in the early going of the race. The 4 of Strauss went for a spin right around lap 12, and we have been green over the last nearly 30 consecutive laps. 20 laps to go at stage 1. We'll take our first break. You're listening live to the Craftsman Truck Series Bait Fest 250 from North Wilkesboro Speedway. Lots of time left in this one here this afternoon. Nearly 200 laps to go around this just over a half-mile short track. During the commercial break, pass for 6th has been made inside the top 10. Chase Elliott moving up a spot, getting by Caden Honeycutt. And the gap between first and the 4th place driver, Chandler Smith, is closing as well. That 38 truck starting to come to life here in the opening stage. Started in 9th, up 5 positions to 4th. The commercial break first started, he was about 2.8 seconds out of the lead. Now it's down to 2.2. And we also have a pass for the race lead for the first time under green flag conditions. That wasn't a restart situation as Lane Riggs has jumped out in front of Carson Hocevar.
Hocevar thought the lap truck lost them some momentum there with the 4, and Lane makes a great move. Then what would you expect next? Carson to dive to the bottom?
He'll cross over. Carson's not going to give up easy, that's for sure. But again, that outside momentum, Lane get back to the throttle and cleared him on the back straight away.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Lane drive away. I feel like he's got the fastest truck. He and his teammate Chandler Smith. Chandler continues to move forward.
Front row looking good. Host of our audio moments ago.
Yes. So the tires will certainly give up. Maybe we'll see straightforward strategy on putting it into each stage. We'll see how this plays out. But that's air pressure, Don. As the air pressure builds up in that right front, it makes the truck just not turn as well in the turns, and that's what Carson's dealing with.
Well, and I mean, if you could flip the stage for track position and not have to go for stage points, it's really going to be the only time we're going to see drivers pit under caution. Shouldn't be a whole lot of tire fall off today, considering the fact that this surface is only 3 years old. And obviously in North Carolina, not going to go through those harsher winters. So still quite a bit of grip. The lack of grip is mainly going to be from how hot the temperature is here today. Of course, on All-Star Race weekend in mid-May, not quite as warm as what it is in the middle of July like we have here this weekend. So warmer track temps this weekend compared to years past. All right, should be back up and running again. Apologize for that, everybody. Had a little bit of buffering going on there with the internet connection. That was with my laptop specifically because I didn't lose anything with the race. Just trying to refresh the page and realized that it wasn't refreshing. Haven't missed anything of note yet. And still no live leaderboard working on NASCAR.com up to this point. So I'll go back to Fox Sports again. Last 16 laps consecutively have been led by Lane Riggs. 50 laps led for Carson Hocevar at the start of the race before Riggs was able to take over that top spot. Just a few laps to go in stage 1. Points awarded to the top 10 positions, 1 point per position. Another pass on the racetrack during that little bit of a buffer on my internet. Chase Elliott has moved into the top 5, right up a spot on Corey Heim. I used to seeing Heim go backwards, especially at North Wilkesboro these last 2 years between winning in 2024 and last year leading the most laps and getting taken out of it on the final restart in a battle with Lane Riggs. Riggs is the one dominating at this point. Looked to be really fast behind Hocevar, got out in front of him, pulled away a bit. Working the final lap of stage 1. Riggs is dealing with quite a bit of lap traffic in front of him. He just lapped Tyler Ankrum through turns 1 and 2. And try to pass a couple more trucks and make contact right in front of the leader, and Riggs has to back out of it to keep from running over those two as the green-white checkered flag flies. So stage 1 winner will be our pole sitter today, Lane Riggs, as he'll add on to his series points lead. Second for Carson Hocevar, Chandler Smith in third. Christopher Bell fourth, and Chase Elliott rounding out the top 5 in fifth. Corey Hyman sixth place. Seventh for Caden Honeycutt. Christian Eckes rounds out the stage in 8th. Gio Ruggiero ninth, and Grant Enfinger finishes the top 10. He gets that final stage point in 10th. Second caution of the day and our first stage break. Joe Rochester, welcome to the stream. Is the raw feed working? Every time I go into NASCAR.com, it's not working for me. Yeah, I don't have anything. There we go. I got it now. Move my camera over so you can see more of the leaderboard. All right. Now our usual display is up and running again. Just under 30 minutes to complete stage 1 here today at North Wilkesboro Speedway. And again, Lane Riggs is the driver out in front. Carson Hocevar in second, Chandler Smith third, Christopher Bell fourth, and Chase Elliott rounding out the top 5 in fifth. Corey Hyman in 6th place. Just behind there, we'll have our first pit stops of the race today during the caution period. Now let you listen into the pit reports. See what some of these drivers are having to feel with their race trucks in the early laps. We heard already Carson Hocevar felt like he was a little too tight, and the rear tires were not gripping to the racetrack, which is normal for a hot day like this.
Music's biggest stars take center stage as the greatest World Cup in history reaches its climax. Spain faces defending champion Argentina in the FIFA World Cup final. An extended pregame special starts 11 a.m. Eastern on Fox.
What a day for Fox. World Cup finals. Been an exciting playoff, hasn't it?
Oh, it's been awesome. IndyCar Nashville after that. Set it up beautifully. We're in the Craftsman Truck Series, race 15. And the truck's going to come down pit road here at the end of stage 1, filling up with Sunoco race fuel with zero carbon bioethanol and the 38 of Chandler Smith, Amanda.
He jumps over the wall.
You saw Christopher Bell right there behind Chandler Smith. He's going to pull in. The team told him to stop a little short and to angle out to help on exit. That truck is loose, saying he wants to commit to throttle. And then for Carson Hocevar, a crazy stage 1. He radioed to the team that his foot is burning. They're going to throw him booties inside of that truck. He's going to put them on during the pace laps. Josh?
For Chase Elliott, he said the nose is tight, the back end is unstable. Let that truck think personally on the run. As far as the stage 1 winner, Lane Riggs. Said those brakes were getting hot towards the end of that thing. On that same guys.
Very hot in North Wilkesboro. It's not the only grass you're going to find in the whole racetrack, though, right there exiting turn 2.
Riggs wins the race off pit road at Hocevar and Chandler Smith. Chase Elliott out of the spot. Bell down 1. Stage 2 when we come back.
So it sounds like the brake's getting warm, brake pedal's getting warm on a very hot day in Wilkes County, North Carolina. Lane Riggs is going to win the race off of pit road and remain as the race leader as he left it, winning stage number 1. So again, we are at the first stage break in today's race. Tony Breidinger was supposed to race today in North Wilkesboro. Corey Heim getting the late call there. Makes sense as to why he is in the number 5 rather than the number 1. Kind of curious for the owner's point side of things as far as trying to make the chase there if he was in the number 1 truck. Team's gotten quite a few points this year between Heim having those good runs in the number 1. Jimmy Johnson had a pretty good run in San Diego in that truck as well. Definitely getting NASCAR 26. Oh yeah, me too. I will be getting NASCAR 26 as well. Haven't had any video game streams in a while on the channel, but it's just really hard for me to do that with my current work schedule. Once the NASCAR season started and I had to switch jobs, I can't do it during the week, unfortunately. Had to miss the end of the NASCAR race on Sunday night, which that's usually not the case for me. I was very upset, not only because Ryan Blaney won, but I do my best to try to give you guys commentary for the full length of every race every weekend. And unfortunately, that delay just went on a little too long because I got to get up and leave by 2:30 a.m. So the fact that that race got over around 2 a.m. local time, there was just no way I was going to be able to do it. I held it out till about 10:30. It was still raining, so at least I was trying to see if they would hold off until the next day. I had a pretty good feeling they were looking to get things started, and I knew when it started raining, which is why I ended the stream, that the forecast is showing rain for the next several hours, that they were not going to get it started again until midnight. So I was really hoping for a Monday race so I could have streamed again for you guys, but just unfortunately was not able to do so. So I apologize for that, but we will have video game streams back on the channel again. Once I end up landing another new job where I'm not working this schedule, hard to put a time frame on that. Just had to get settled in with the new place first, and I'm going to be back on looking for jobs again here the next week or two and go from there. Yeah, getting up that early in the morning stinks. I'm sure you guys could probably tell it takes a little bit out of me even doing these live commentary streams sometimes. Like Saturdays, I still feel tired, like from the week of like getting up. Sundays, I usually feel a lot better because I sleep in Friday night into Saturday, then Saturday into Sunday, and I basically catch up on my rest by that time, and I'm rejuvenated and I'm ready to go, early in the work week. But by like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I'm dragging. A little bit better today because it's an early race. If it was a night race, I'd probably be feeling it again. But luckily, I've only been up for a few hours, so spry, ready to bring you the rest of the truck race this afternoon.
He's going to start on the front row that minute.
Christopher Bell in the 62 was 4th prior to the stops, but too fast entering for him, and a safety violation for the 45 of Landon Lewis.
Fans are on their feet. Restarting him, baby. I talked about Tom Medeski earlier. I just want to update him. He's up to 11th. Nice. Climbing up through the field, but that tells you how tough it is, Todd.
And the 8th, Taylor Ang, in the free fence. Summit Green here as we begin stage number 2 here at North Wilkesboro. What are the odds that Carson uses that front bump? I'm on the shake right now. I'm sitting scared. Now, there you go. They didn't even get to the start finish line. The receiver 98s. I control the truck.
Lester doesn't like that laying back on the starts, restarts. Oh, I'm there, Garcia. I took a little bump there, but Clark held on to it.
98 keeps the lead for the moment. At 98, I gotta be honest with you. Jake right here, that's that many more laps on the tires to be able to do what he's doing. So it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, he hit it on lap 16, and here he goes. Yeah, that's going to open every crew chief and engineer's eyeballs wide open down there on Fifth Road itself. Let me add that to the notebook. We got some options here, especially if Garcia continues to lead. This is impressive.
21-year-old from Monroe, Georgia for Thor Sport Racing in that 98 Ford. Leads on Hocevar, then Riggs, and now Riggs going to make a pass on Hocevar side by side for second. How about the contact here on the restart?
Lane Riggs.
Lane got to the, just pushed up. Jake cut the corner a little. That's a little racing incident.
That's short track racing. Great, that's track racing too.
You bet it is. The 71 SVG is in the middle of that. 3 wide out here.
Stephen Parsons is up on the roof spotting for SVG. Well, I know he's got his eyeballs wide open right now.
The spot course for Connor Zillage as well in the Cup Series and O'Reilly.
Oh, I've got Tanner. Tanner just did his best to keep it off of Shane.
Chase Elliott and the 7 trying to squeeze through and get in the mix for that battle for second.
And Chandler Smith said, man, that looks fun.
Oh, look at Carson. Little bumper run down here.
I wouldn't be surprised to see more of a respectful racing at this stage of the race. Right? Racing for a championship.
Yeah.
You got to pick your battles.
There you go. I think that's part of that racetrack we talked about. Yeah, I said earlier that 38 might have the best truck in the field today, Chandler Smith, and going to work on the 34 rakes here on the bottom. Well, I'm going to give that one to Michael. He's the one that said that.
Well, I'm trying to
loop you in and have you. Yeah, I appreciate it. Right. Well, big Michael props on that. He called out early.
He's got a good truck in the center next. You talk about how cool that is, and I think that's where that truck's the best. Right there, you get the gap down and keep it down.
Engine problem, the 11, Caden Honeycutt began the day second in points, and he's dropped back into 23rd place. Let's listen in.
Oh no, it's still 250. I keep you posted on your gauges here. It's going down. It's taking forever. That's what. Yeah, I don't know if we have a problem or not. We're gonna have to write it out.
Just a little more water temperature today. We're looking for it to be optimal. Well, that's everything's all right though.
Yeah, it's one of those deals where you ride around under caution. There's caution car speed, I believe, is 35 mile an hour, so you're not getting a lot of air. If you let the motor run the whole time, the temperature's gonna go up. You have to shut it off, coast a little, let the air cool the water that's in the radiator, cycle it back through the motor, start it up. You have to keep doing that, and it'll bring the temperature right down. And on a day like this, it's going to be doing that.
You see how hard that chick got into turn 3? Wow.
As always, Garcia had only led 2 laps this year before today. He's out front here in North Wilkesboro in stage 2.
All right, there we go. So Jake Garcia, race leader after flipping the stage there. Carson Hocevar sitting in the second place position with Lane Riggs in third. We'll look at the splits between those top 10 spots with Garcia in the lead, a 4/10 of a second advantage over Carson Hocevar in second. 9/10 back in third is Lane Riggs, 1.2 seconds out of the lead for Chandler Smith in fourth, and Chase Elliott in fifth, 1.6 seconds back. 1.8 back for the sixth place driver Christian Eckes. Corey Heim 2.6 back at seventh. Stuart Friesen 3 seconds out of the lead in eighth. 3.5 seconds back for Gio Ruggiero in ninth. And Ty Majeski up into 10th. 4.3 seconds out of the race lead. Majeski was very deep in the field, started 27th, did not qualify well, but he's moving his way up. and he's now inside the top 10. Of course, 4 of his 6 wins coming on short tracks in his Truck Series career. Former truck champion, winning at a track flat oval like Phoenix a couple years ago in the Championship 4 race. So we'll see if Ty Majeski can press forward some more on a track that really fits his driving style. I'm really expecting him to make a charge late in the regular season standings. He's 6th in points. He's had a very up and down year. Lots of downs, only 11 laps led. Maybe he can get that first win of the season. He's got a lot of tracks we're going to that not only fit his driving style, but tracks he's won at before, like IRP. Hasn't won at North Wilkesboro, but he's obviously had some good runs here. He's had some good runs at Richmond as well. And New Hampshire going to be an interesting test for him too. His 3 DNFs this season, actually most of anybody in the top 10 in points, and tied with his teammate Jake Garcia. And Garcia needs a good run here today. This call to kind of leave him out there, we'll see if he can go for the stage points, because he came in 17 points below the cut line on Tyler Ankrum. Ankram's been outside of the top 10 for most of the day. So Garcia, any points he can get here, that could be huge for him. Tyler Ankram's still outside the top 10 as we run. Just having an off day today in 22nd. During the commercial break, we got a pass for the race lead yet again. Carson Hocevar back out in front for the second different time today after passing Jake Garcia. So now Garcia sits in second. Fastest laps of the day still in stage number 1, most of which after that first initial restart. A lot of the drivers up at the front of the field have not ran the fastest laps at all in stage 2. Minus Ty Majeski and 10, so you can definitely tell that they made the right adjustments to that number 88 Ford.
North Wilkesboro, new leader, back out from the 77 of Hocevar, happened moments ago. Driving into the corners, going to brake line.
Yeah, he dives her in there, and he made it work, too. See, this instance into 3. Nice clean pass, right, Todd?
Yeah, not so much.
Until that part.
Until he got to the middle of the corner.
But way faster than Garcia on those older tires, but got to give it up for Jake Garcia on those old tires driving off for that lead. Got into track position now. Keep it.
And you alluded to it earlier, Michael, that could change the strategy for other coaches later in the race. Seeing that?
It had to open a lot of eyeballs.
Went through stage number 2.
Josh Hankish is Jake's crew chief, and that was a great call. That's coming out on the edge saying, I want to do something different. We don't have a winning truck. Let's see if we can get up there, get some track position and keep it.
And right now, Lane Riggs is struggling to pass it. Jake is doing a great job on the wall tires, for sure. All right, Amanda has more on Jake. So, made that early stop, gained his first position, and still hang around there in 3rd. Yeah, 22nd of the stage break.
How about that? If you're the driver, they say, okay, you're in 20 seconds, stay out. And you watch 21 trucks ahead of you come to pit road. That's tense as a driver. About the rest of Tom Majeski, great short track racer. Well, he's into the top 10, and he's all over Gio Ruggiero, that 9th position.
Majeski has 5 top 10s in the last 6 short track races, to your point. Yeah, we knew it. You called it, Michael. They did a couple adjustments. J-Rod works some magic. Ty's so good on short tracks. You know we'd see him at the front, go close to the front. Truck is definitely better. It's turning way better to the middle of the corner than it was before.
You just take this time. You don't want to get that truck sideways and burn off the right rear. Pick up a truck length at a time.
Ninth in the 17, and Majeski. Like Christian Eckes, the way he is going through the field here this afternoon, up to 6th in the 91 truck.
Picked up 12 spots so far.
And Josh has more on him.
And Christian Eck is one of our biggest movers on the day. And I talked to him this morning, and he said yesterday was a struggle. They were way too loose in practice. Every change they made during that 50-minute practice session did not help. So they took a huge swing overnight, basically brought back a completely different setup and hoping it would help out. So I talked to him before the race. He said, hey, we're going to wait to see what happens with that change. Well, it seems to be working out. He started off a little free to start the race and storm tight, but that truck has really come to look much better today than they were as it's up to the 6th position, guys. What's my philosophy racing as a driver? Even when I crew chief them. Well, if you're not going to win a race and you know your truck or car is terrible, change it. Do something. You're not going to win the race the way it is, and obviously they took the big swing, and it's way more competitive than it was because he was right. It was terrible loose in practice.
The 5th place finish at Lime Rock after he suffered some damage on lap 51 of that race. Good comeback.
Just a battle. Shinekas will give you all he's got from the get-go, and he always seems to be moving forward with race ends.
Top 10s in the last 6.
And he's got a crew chief with a little bit of experience too. David Ellens knows what he's doing.
See, Chase Elliott is taking his game up to Garcia, see if he can grab that spot. David Nicholson is at 76.
They cut. Moving up the field here. 19th. Plus 7 since the restart. Chandler Smith and Ben Rhodes each plus 4.
We said he had concerns about his engine temperature, but the lap times lately seem to be stable, but man, hard to pass. That's been what we've talked about from the beginning, and not making much progress racing against his teammate this weekend, Nick Blythe.
Speed of trucks for Tricon Garage.
Caution, a spin.
Caution here as the 2 truck spins. That's Luke Baldwin, Team Rayon. And the yellow flag is out here.
It was a lap down, as was Ryan Newman. I think Newman will get the free pass from 25th.
Baldwin was running 26, but he spins here. Our caution. On lap number 120 here in the heart of stage 2, North Wilkesboro.
Going to be about halfway through the race when we get to the next restart, and roughly 20 laps to go in stage 2 with where we're at right now. Carson Hocevar, the race leader, under caution with Chandler Smith in 2nd, Chase Elliott 3rd, Lane Riggs 4th, and Jake Garcia now rounding out the top 5 in 5th. 6th for Christian Eckes, Stuart Friesen 7th, Corey Heim 8th, Ty Majeski 9th, and 10th is Gio Ruggiero. Cole Butcher having a pretty solid day in 11th, and Andres Perez 12th, rounding out the top dozen. 3rd caution of the day, 2nd incident, 1st incident in stage 2, a spin for Luke Baldwin in the 2 truck. May see some teams flip strategy, pitting early, trying to extend the fuel window to make it to the end of the race. It's not impossible if we get enough cautions in stage 3 that we could see drivers stretch it to the end of the typical fuel window between 110 to 120 laps. And of course, right at that 110 lap mark for the final stage, but of course, with some caution laps mixed in there. The field should be able to make it the final stage without having to pit for fuel. Jerry Gaming, thanks for tuning in. Yeah, it's just it's a combination of Frankie being inexperienced on ovals because most of his racing background was not on ovals. So the combination of that and the fact that he's just not on a good team that's going to put a lot of pace in their vehicles every week. Yeah, I don't expect much out of Frankie Muniz to succeed here in the trucks at a high level, that is. But, I mean, good on him. He's able to race cars for a living every week, and I wish I could do the same. Chandler Smith's got a fast race truck today. You are correct. he looked like a lot of that first half of stage one, he was outpacing Lane Riggs, not only because Riggs was behind Hocevar, but even when Lane got to the lead, he was still being outpaced by Chandler Smith, who was in a bit of traffic.
NASCAR Truck Series at North Wilkesboro in action under caution on pit road. And Amanda has more on the 77.
Yeah, there was some discussion going back and forth on what drivers were going to do here, but Carson Hocevar still fighting that burning foot issue. Those booties not exactly giving him the relief that he wanted. Asked for a towel on that one and then asked for the same adjustments as well. Josh?
As far as Chase Elliott, remember during that first stage, he told the team that the nose was too tight, the back was unstable. They made some air pressure adjustments. He came over the radio, said it was a little bit better during this last run. He said it's just such a fine line in getting this truck in tune to what he needs. Either way, they made more of an air pressure adjustment during that stop, guys.
Varying strategy as we expected here. Thank you, Josh.
Yes, the stage flipping and pitting when others don't, all that's in full play.
We will sort it out when we return here on FS1.
All right. So we'll wait for the updated leaderboard headed into the next restart as we get to the end of stage number 2. Again, top 10 will receive stage points, so that's going to be part of the varying strategy. And obviously not completely sure if we're going to get enough cautions in this one. It is the Truck Series, and it's the Truck Series on a short track, so I can understand the logic and thinking we will get enough cautions from here to the end to make it on fuel, but it's going to be tight. A lot closer for the drivers who will pit at the lap 40 stage 2 end. At the end of stage 2, you will not be able to vote for who you think is going to win tonight's race. For the Craftsman Truck Series, that poll will be closed, so you only have a few more laps to be able to vote for who you think will win. And as of right now, Corey Heim taking 39% of 46 votes. Carson Hocevar at 35%. Somebody other than Hocevar, Bell, or Heim at 24%. Only 2% of 46 votes taking Christopher Bell for the race win today. That is shocking. He has been up in the top 5 the entire race. Up until the slow pit stop at the end of stage 1. Unfortunately, he is now outside the top 10. But quite surprised. And obviously, field flipping strategy here. He did just pit under the caution. So might get some of that track position back for the start of stage 3. Race is flying by. Laps side of things, with this being 250 laps, it would be one of the longer Truck Series races of the season, but just less than an hour to get through the first half of today's race. And Carson Hocevar so far has led for the most laps. Up until the caution, 70 laps led for him. He's led 2 different times in this one. Lane Riggs, a pole sitter, won stage 1, has led for 25 laps today. Jake Garcia on pit strategy has led for 22. And those are the only 3 drivers to lead it all in today's race. We've had 6 lead changes amongst them, with one just coming up here during the pit stops, which took place during the caution flag for Luke Baldwin going for a spin. Ty Majeski will be the new leader on the restart. Trying to get some of those stage points, much needed for the likes of Perez, who's outside the chase cut line. Grant Enfinger just moved himself in. Ben Rhodes, Daniel Hemrick, another couple bubble drivers. So most of the field pitted during the caution, but a few stayed out. Majeski has been able to lead under the caution period for his first laps led of the race. I've noticed in recent weeks the live leaderboard on the raw feed does not update under the cautions until the restart happens. So the order you were seeing there for a short bit is not going to be the restart order. That was the order in which, when the caution came out, who was in the top 5 or 6 or so. Ryan Newman, Nick Light's speeding penalties on pit road. Newman did get the free pass, so he was going to have to restart at the tail end of the field anyway, after having to take that said free pass. And Lights was a lap down. Actually, no, Lights was on the lead lap. So now the tail end of it. Majeski takes the inside of row number 1 for this restart, with Andres Perez for Nice Motorsports in the 44 to the outside. Overcast skies here in North Carolina. Green flag is going to be back in the air. Great launch from that inside of row 1 for Ty Majeski. And he looks to be able to get out in front through turns 1 and 2. And he is clear on Perez. 3 wide for third place, though. Down to the bottom of the racetrack, Carson Hocevar trying to thread the needle. Only to get put 3 wide himself, now being in the middle lane, with Chandler Smith in the 38 rocketing up the inside and getting by both himself and the 62 of Christopher Bell in the process of that pass. Lane Riggs trying to go 4 wide to the outside, ran out of room after there was some slight contact between Bell and Hocevar on track. Hocevar still stuck in the middle and just unable to get out of harm's way. Majeski leads with less than 10 laps to go in stage 2 at the moment. Riggs trying to go to the middle groove, not getting picked behind the 9 of Grant Enfinger. Only for Christopher Bell on the outside of him at the moment now, trying to take a spot back away from Riggs. Had the wrong hallmark truck. It was actually the 52 of Stuart Friesen, who was able to play a little defense on Lane Riggs, only for Riggs to have to back out of the gas a little bit with Friesen pulled up in front of him, and Chandler Smith back to the inside of his teammate in the 34. All this battling right now just inside the top 10. Those guys are trying to battle to be the leader at the beginning of stage 3, when the rest of the drivers who have not made what could be their final stop of the race yet will have to pit at the end of stage 2. That's why it's as intense as it is right now, with a lot of 3 and 4 wide slide jobs, and that battle still going on. And as intense as ever. Corey Heim in the 5 going to lead the way on all of them. Chase Elliott's now the truck in the middle of 3 wide. Chandler Smith on the bottom lane starting to roam his way up towards the front of the pack. He has escaped from that madness that was going on behind him, only to pass both Ben Rhodes and Andres Perez that last lap to get to second. Quite the gap to try to make up time on Ty Majeski to win this stage. About a 1.5 seconds back is Chandler Smith in second. That last lap, though, was a couple tenths faster than Ty Majeski. The problem is he's only got 5 more laps to try to catch him. Not just catch him, but catch and then pass him. He might be able to get to him, but getting around him is going to be a different story. So the top 5 stayed out, 6th on back pitted. The trucks that stayed out of the pits are Ty Majeski, Ben Rhodes, Andres Perez, Daniel Hemrick, and Stuart Friesen. And those drivers are running 1st, 3rd, 5th, 6th, and 7th. 3 to go in the stage. I think Majeski's willing to take that strategy call. He had just gotten himself into the top 10. And Carson Hocevar in the wall now in turns 1 and 2. We do stay green, but he is slow on the racetrack. 74 laps led today for Hocevar, most in the race. And he's got a problem, and he's trying to limp his way back into the pits. Looks like the left front tire might be flat. He made contact with Christopher Bell in the middle of being 3 wide a few laps ago in the restart. And I wonder if that's what might have cut the tire. He's going to lose his lead lap as we still stay green. Hocevar is just limping around the track. Usually you would see a caution for him being that slow in the way, but last lap or 2 of the stage, I guess NASCAR going to keep it green, and Ty Majeski will win stage 1 under green flag conditions, and Hocevar pretty much taken out of a shot to try to win, as he's going to lose 1 or 2 laps here at the end of stage 1. So stage 1 winner, Lane Riggs, finished 13th in stage 2. Ty Majeski wins the second stage. Hocevar finally makes it to pit road.
By far the most in the race. He's running. For stage 3.
Yeah, again, there was contact on the restart when Hocevar was jammed in the middle of 3 wide. Christopher Bell in the 62 was the truck on the inside, and just being 3 wide on a short track like this, not like anybody really made a mistake by being over aggressive as much as it was just not enough room on the racetrack to not make contact. And as little contact as there was, it was enough to cut the tire on the left front of the 77. Hocevar into the wall in turns 1 and 2. Great evasive maneuver by Lane Riggs to break in time, steer to the inside, and get clear from running into the back of Hocevar, which could have made a disaster for one driver who has dominated the race today, maybe a disaster for 2 of the more dominant trucks. So Riggs will live to fight another lap, and unfortunately, again, Hocevar multiple laps down as we start stage 3. Dean Tate, thanks for tuning in as well, and greetings to everybody who have been watching today's live commentary stream of the Craftsman Truck Series at North Wilkesboro Speedway. We're going to close our chat poll off since we have reached the end of stage 2. 50 of you voted for who you think will win today's race, and actually a tie amongst the top of the poll between Carson Hocevar and Corey Heim for the win. 26% of you taking somebody other than Hocevar, Heim, or Bell, and Bell only 2% of the votes. I think it'd be interesting if Bell won this race, only seeing 2% of 50 people voted for him. And I would have been curious to know who did vote for Christopher Bell. If you're in the chat, let me know. Laverne Angel, thanks for tuning in. Where is Stuart Friesen? Friesen at the end of stage 2 was 5th. Good stage points for him there. And he had been running pretty much like 8th to 12th most of this race today. You're also wondering on kind of like average running position or so. 21 laps left for Majeski. He will be pitting during the stage break. He will not be able to make it on field to the end because he did not pit at all in stage 2. We'll take another break here, and when we come back, stage 3 will be up shortly. Listening live to the Craftsman Truck Series at North Wilkesboro.
Tomorrow, the stars of the Cup Series battle it out under the lights of historic North Wilkesboro Speedway. The action starts at 7 p.m. Eastern on TNT. Here in the Truck Series, 4 to go in the regular season, 3 after today. If it's the open here, free pass goes to the 12 of Brendan Butterbean Queen.
Tom Majeski's stacking up those stage points he so desperately needs.
Trucks coming down here, filling up with Sunoco race fuel with a 0 carbon bioethanol. And down to Amanda.
Yeah, Grant Enfinger is going to be one of those trucks making his way to us. They elected to keep Grant out last time, but late in that stage, Grant went hard into the wall and lost some positions. They're going to bring Grant in, kind of assess the situation right now. Derek Smith said that he may call an audible if he needs to assess the damage on the right side of the truck. And they need to get the truck body around those trucks and make sure that it's okay. Get the tires on it and go around it.
99 of Ben Rhodes, he said just the nose too numb and can't carry speed through the center, so they made an adjustment for him. Time to just get 88 truck much better. A couple more adjustments just to get him exactly where he needs it to be, guys.
See Majeski coming off pit road. 99 of Rhodes, Honeycutt, the 11, Perez in the 44. So it's Majeski, Rhodes, Honeycutt, Perez, Hemrick, and Enfinger off pit road, getting set for stage 3, the action, and Heavy's Enfinger spoke the wall.
All right, so Chandler Smith scored as the race leader. I believe he was first in the running order of those that did not pit at the end of the stage, so he'll be out in front. First time Chandler Smith's been able to lead today as the defending winner of this race. He only led one of 250-plus laps last year in an overtime finish to get the race win from the 14th starting position. Today, he started in 9th, a little bit better, and he's at a fast racetrack. He has raced his way up as high as second in the running order naturally, and now going to be the leader. Carson Hocevar, who's led the most laps today, going to help him along the way. So the lap 40 stage 2 break, our fourth caution, 2 stage breaks, and then 2 incidents on track. A spin in stage 1 and another one in stage 2. Going to have right around 100 laps to go in today's race when we get the final stage underway. As far as the green flag racing is concerned. Freezing up to third now. As you see on our screen. All right. Field shaking up a little bit with the way of that final restart in stage 2 and the split pit strategy to go with it. I don't think having about 10 lap older tires is going to make a difference at this track. Even as hot and slick as it is this weekend. It's not seeing that kind of tire fall off. Got to save as much fuel as you can under the caution flag just to ensure you're going to make it on fuel at the end of the race. Especially if we do see an overtime situation where we go past the scheduled distance, that can make that a little bit harder. 2 of the 3 North Wilkesboro truck races since its return to NASCAR a few years ago on All-Star Race Weekend have ended in overtime, including last season's race, won by our current race leader. Eckes is up there for the first time. He's proven to be a good short track racer. We know Friesen is. Majeski, who won stage 2, pretty solid on the short tracks.
Simply amazing renovation. You know, the track, all the set accessories have been upgraded, but we keep that old look. The fans, they just love it.
100%. To your point, the Speedway just announced that tomorrow's night's race is sold out for the 4th year since NASCAR returned to North Wilkesboro. 4 straight sellouts. How about it? Fans from all 50 states and 8 different countries, including Australia and Luxembourg.
They came a long way.
From down under.
Long way. You got way down under.
We got a packed house today, too. A lot of fans.
Sensational crowds all weekend long.
Well, these truckers put on a great race. These fans know it. Want to come out and see it.
Christian Eckes has made his way all the way to the front row. There you see Stuart Friesen. Great run for that 52 truck.
We Smith and Eckes on the front row. Richero and Friesen, row 2. Hyman Elliott, row 3.
Tom Majeski, you know what you get for winning the stage, Brent, and pitting under the caution? You get to restart.
Yeah. Now, we knew he was going to pay for it.
Well, he's already drove his way through the field once. He could do it again.
Yeah.
There's that beautiful number. 88 Menards truck back in the pack.
Stage 2 winner, Lane Riggs, won stage number 1. By the way, Donovan Strauss and his debut, the 4 truck, just went behind the 4. Stage points today, 17 for Smith, 10 for Eckes, and 10 for Majeski and Riggs. Here we go as the tracks approach the Echo Park Automotive Restart Zone back under green. The 3rd and final stage here at North Wilkesboro.
All right, underway. Green flag back in the air. Chandler Smith on the outside of row 1 with a perfect launch. He's going to be about a truck length and a half to nearly 2 truck lengths clear before the braking zone of turn 1. One truck gets sideways in the outer lane, barely keeping it off the wall out of turn 2 after being 3 wide. I believe that might have been Tyler Wright. No, Landon Lewis, the 45 truck, the other Nice Motorsport truck that's up there in the top 10. Wright restarting up there as well with a part of that pit strategy. Late in stage 2. Ty Majeski going to be buried very deep in the field. We'll keep an eye on him on the restart. They're winning stage number 2. Ty Majeski, trying to find him on our leaderboard. Keep skipping him. Trying to find him, and I cannot find him. There he is, 16th. 16th place for Ty Majeski. That's where he's at right now. I think he restarted a few spots behind that. He's already picked up a couple. Restarted 18th, and he's up to 15th. So, yeah, 3 spots gained in the first couple laps. So keep an eye on Majeski as his truck gets better and better throughout the course of the day. Probably didn't feel any better than when he had the clean air advantage and no traffic in front of him for really the first time late in stage 2 after staying out of the pits to get those stage points and track position. Surrendering that, though, now. He was running in the 10th place position before the Luke Baldwin spin caution happened, which set up that differentiating strategy. And that was after starting the day all the way back in 27. 93 laps to go as Chandler Smith again leads for the first time today. He's got an 0.8 of a second lead over Gio Ruggiero in second. Christian Eckes 1.8 seconds back in third. Stuart Friesen 2.1 seconds off the lead in fourth. And Corey Heim back in the top 5 in fifth at 2.1 seconds also out of the lead. Ongoing battle between Landon Lewis, Lane Riggs on track. Lewis looking pretty sporty on this restart. Wrapping the inside well in that 45 truck. Taking it to the series points leader. Lewis started the day in 16th. At the end of stage 2, he was 16th place as well. Stage 1, 20th, but that truck looking like it's coming to life as he makes the pass on Riggs for 6th. He's clear. He is really wrapping the bottom lane of the track better than anybody I've seen, at least in the early going of this final stage. And Lane Riggs gets into the back of him in the next corner after getting cleared by Lewis. And that definitely picked the rear tires up off the ground of that 45 truck. Both Lewis and Riggs lose ground to the 2 trucks that were closing on a Friesen and Corey Heim ahead of them. And unfortunately for Lewis, having the rear tires slide out like that this early in the run, that could hurt him more later in the run if he abuses his stuff. 6 positions gained from the restart alone for Lewis from 12th to 6th. Also a battle on track between Shane Van Gisbergen and Christopher Bell for 8th SVG in his 3rd career truck start all this season. Up at the front of the field. First time he has entered the top 10 today, a slow climb to get through the pack. He is going to take it to Bell and make a completed pass for 8th place. How about Shane Van Gisbergen up in the top 10 on an oval?
Side. You win.
All right, side-by-side commercial break upcoming on Fox Sports 1. For visual purposes is where you can watch today's race. Chandler Smith pulling away on this restart. Ran its fastest lap of the race on the restart as well, lap 157. But that same goes for the next 3 drivers in the positioning order behind him. Ruggiero, Eckes, and Friesen also running their fastest laps early in stage 3. As Chandler Smith has gotten that much better than the rest of the field. 19.148 is Smith's fastest lap. Last time by, he ran a 19.398. And again, still pulling away. Only a few thousandths of a second faster than Ruggiero the last time by, but still faster. Problem is that Smith is able to replicate those lap times where that has not really been the case for the other drivers in the top 5. Kind of a new cast of characters compared to how we started the race today, with a lot of those Cup regulars in the field starting up inside the top 5, the likes of Chase Elliott, Christopher Bell, Carson Hocevar, and Again, the pole sitter Lane Riggs, none of those drivers in the top 5 right now. The only driver who was up there early and up there now is Chandler Smith. Common denominator, though, is the fact that he's in that what could be the fastest truck in the field. At least by the eye test today, that has been the case. Corey Heim was up there early as well, but then kind of faded by the end of stage 1, back to about 7th or 8th place. Every time they say carbon bioethanol, they say that on the Fox broadcast a lot. They don't really say that on any of the other broadcasts as often. I feel like it's like every pit stop that we see under the telecast under caution on Fox programming. It started with Mike Joy, and then I know that Jamie Little was saying it a lot when she was doing the truck broadcast, and that has turned from Eric Brennan and out of the other new guy that they're testing out this week on the play-by-play. Because I don't hear Adam Alexander saying it like all the time in the O'Reilly broadcast and then in Cup Series in recent weeks between TNT and Prime. I'll keep a lookout for it tomorrow if he mentions it at all. It's kind of one of those things where I know Mike Joy is so knowledgeable about not only, racing and NASCAR, but just about cars in general. So he can give the detailed description as to what that is exactly, and then everybody else maybe piggybacks off of that a little more, or maybe they're told to say it in the broadcast booth for Fox, considering it does seem like a Fox thing. Like, hey, push this, for whatever reason. Yep, O'Reilly Series is off this weekend. We'll be back at Indianapolis next week. One of the few off weeks in the season for the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. So just the 2 streams here this weekend. Cup Series qualifying is supposed to be taking place later this evening. Practice and qualifying beginning at about 5 p.m. Eastern. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to live stream that today. I got other obligations for later tonight. But we'll be back tomorrow night for the NASCAR Cup race at North Wilkesboro, and hopefully it does not rain again. I do have 4 hours of sick time now as of the 18th, which is today. So in the event of rain again tomorrow night, I am going to push to try to stay up late and give you guys that stream if I have to burn through some sick time and get to work a little later. I will do that to make sure I get a little extra rest. Because I hate missing streams and missing racing. And being able to bring that to you every weekend. Caution free in the final stage so far. About 73 laps to go for Chandler Smith, whose lead is 2.8 seconds over Gio Ruggiero, 4.5 seconds to Christian Eckes in third, and Stuart Friesen 6.3 back in fourth. Top 5 in the running order haven't really changed in the positioning order. During the commercial break, Lane Riggs was able to get back by Landon Lewis for 6th, and that's been the only pass for position really the last 10, 15 plus laps inside the top 10. Ty Majeski, who restarted in 18th after winning stage 2, made his final stop of the day during the stage break. He's only up to 14th with 4 positions gained on the restart. Caden Honeycutt actually up 9 positions on the restart from 20th to 11th, as I believe he might have came back to pit road again during that last stage after fading on the restart before that at the end of stage 2, despite pitting under that late caution in stage 2 as well. Chase Elliott has lost 4 positions from the restart from 6th to 10th, as he is definitely struggling with that number 7 truck. Kind of seen that out of Chase Elliott already today, going back to stage 1 where he was up to 4th, 5th place early and then fell to 7th, 8th, got back a couple more positions by the end of the stage. Seems to struggle in the short run, long run gets a little bit better. Highlighting Ryan Newman on the broadcast and that number 25 for Dodge Ram. Seen some legends of the sport run that 25 truck this season alone. Tony Stewart, Clint Boyer, Jamie McMurray making starts in the 25. Ryan Newman this week, Elliott Sadler still to come at Richmond. I believe Travis Pastrana also made a start or two in that 25. All-star cast. Just like we have this weekend. Still some work to be done to try to get some speed out of those Ram trucks. Of course, with Colleague Racing not only being new to the truck series, but a manufacturer back in the series for the first time. Well, a team that has not been at this level before, definitely making for an uphill climb. Coming into the day, Brennan Queen in points was sitting 13th and making some serious ground on 10th place to try to get into the chase. Again, top 10 on points alone make it. He's only had 2 stage points this year, so he hasn't been qualifying well, but as the race progresses, gets better and better. This week, he's still on the lead lap, but outside the top 20, unfortunately. And the guys he's trying to catch ahead of him, Tyler Ankrum, Stuart Friesen, Jake Garcia, have been outrunning him. Though he hasn't been outran by Ankrum much today. Stuart Friesen, he's up inside the top 5. There were top 5 stage points for Jake Garcia in stage 2, and I believe he is just outside the top 10 right now in 13th, having a better day, trying to put a little bit of separation and maybe take Queen out of it. But Queen looking like the best Dodge Ram driver to try to make the chase, at least as of right now. Justin Haley was up near the top 10 earlier in the season, has slid down in performance as of recent weeks. Also only 8 stage points on the year. The Ram crew just kind of lacking in qualifying before the race and really have an uphill climb. It's just been a huge learning curve for that, not only team, but the manufacturer as a whole. Shane Van Gisbergen and Corey Heim getting by Landon Lewis in recent laps, and actually SVG in the 71 truck looking to make a pass on Heim time. Corey Heim as well for 6th. SVG is rolling right now. Still over 8 seconds out of the lead, but he is up to 6th. And just his 3rd career truck start. And if I'm not mistaken, this is only his first on an oval. It's just amazing, even in the Cup Series alone, from year 1 to year 2, and what kind of speed he has shown on ovals this year. He ran top 10 all the Coke 600 back in May. Ended up finishing, I think, 11th in that one, but he scored stage points in all 3 stages prior to the final stage, of course, which was an extra one for that race specifically. And now Van Gisbergen looking for 5th on Stuart Friesen in a hurry. I mentioned about Landon Lewis earlier in the run, wrapping the inside lane on that white line better than anybody else on track. And Shane Van Gisbergen kind of becoming that driver now in the later going of stage 3. We know how good he is on road courses at saving his equipment, saving his tires, and is that coming into fruition even on an oval today at North Wilkesboro? He had a good run in the All-Star Open and his heat races last season as well. Leading laps at times in both of those races. And it does seem like he does better on these shorter, flatter ovals than what he does on the higher banked ones. Because New Hampshire in the Cup Series last season, he qualified top 10, was running their first half of the race, 6th, 7th, 8th place up until a spin. If he can keep the vehicle underneath him, he is looking as strong as ever on an oval. And here today, he is clear for 5th. He's got about 2 seconds of time to make up on Lane Riggs. If he can catch him past Lane Riggs, he might actually have a quick enough truck that could compete for the win today. And speaking of Riggs, that last time by, although he's 6.8 seconds out of the lead, he was the fastest truck on the track each of the last 2 laps, a 10th or 2 faster than his teammate Chandler Smith at first. But Smith's got quite the gap. Riggs within 1.5 seconds of second place, but again, he's more than 6.5 seconds out of his teammate for the lead. And the laps are going down quickly here at North Wilkesboro. We're almost halfway through the final stage of green flag laps where we restarted with about 100 to go. 53 laps left this time by already. Carson Hocevar, after having that flat tire, has been very fast getting his way back through the field as well. He has just passed the likes of Christopher Bell, Tyler Wright, Jake Garcia around 11th, 12th, 13th place. Problem is, though, as he is multiple laps down. Flat tire causing some problems there for Hocevar. He's currently 2 laps down on track. but still running. We'll go through the full field running order now. Chandler Smith leads. Gio Ruggiero in second, 6.1 seconds back in the lead. Christian Eckes is in third with Lane Riggs fourth and Shane Van Gisbergen rounding out the top five in fifth. Stuart Friesen in sixth, Corey Hyman seventh, Landon Lewis in eighth, Chase Elliott ninth, and Caden Honeycutt rounds out the top 10. Tyler Reitman 11th, Jake Garcia 12th, Christopher Bell 13th, Ty Majeski 14th, and Dawson Sutton 15th. 16th is Ben Rhodes, Cole Butcher 17th, Nick Lights 18th, Tyler Aker 19th, and Tanner Gray 20th. Brendan Queen last truck in the lead lap in 21st. Daniel Hemrick first truck a lap down in 22nd. Andres Perez 23rd, Ryan Newman 24th, and Grant Enfinger 25th. Justin Haley 26th, Minnie Tyrell 27th, Corey LaJoy 28th, Casey Klein 29th, and Chris Wright in 30th. 31st, Carson Hosebar with Clayton Green 32nd, Frankie Muniz 33rd, Nathan Nicholson 34th, Luke Baldwin 35th, and 36th, Donovan Strauss, who is out of the race after his earlier spin back at stage 1. He's the only truck off of the track right now. And again, 21 on the lead lap. 5.7 second lead for Chandler Smith over Christian Eckes. Gio Ruggiero, who's holding up both Eckes and Riggs recently, has now fallen to fourth as Eckes moves up a spot as well as Riggs in recent laps. Shane Van Gisbergen, fastest truck on the racetrack in fifth place at last lap. Mentioned how quickly he was able to power through the top 10, get into the top 5, passing fast trucks, the like of Friesen, Bell, drivers who have been running top 10 all race, Chase Elliott, Corey Heim. Those are the drivers SVG has passed to get to fifth. Now he's within a second of fourth place, Gio Ruggiero, who's really dropped like a rock over recent laps. And all of a sudden, we could be thinking if there's enough laps or maybe a late race restart, does Shane Van Gisbergen have enough to win at North Wilkesboro in the Truck Series here today? Thanks for watching, everybody. Continue to tune in as we have the finishing laps of today's North Wilkesboro truck race right here on KRC. "44 laps to go for leader Chandler Smith.
Psych.
"62 laps, second most. We came on the air talking about the stars of the Cup Series coming down to race this one, and you made the point on hold everything. A guy like Lane Riggs doesn't care about those guys.
No, it doesn't look like Gio or Christian or Chandler does either.
I love that.
Yeah, our top four are regulars, such as Emerson.
Think that these guys are some of the best drivers in America. I mean, they just get it done in the Truck Series. You bring in Chase Elliott and Van Gisbergen, guys that have won all over the country, and it shakes instance the world. And these guys from the Truck Series right out front, showing them how it's done here.
While we're paying off the great points that Todd has mentioned throughout this telecast, the first Cup regular up there is Van Gisbergen. You talked about him in practice. You like the way he managed his tires there.
Yeah, that's changed strong suit for sure. We see it on road courses, right? It just dominates, and it's always because he's got 4 tires at the end of the month, and that's what today was going to turn into. As hot as it is, although it looks like the sun has gone down, but as hot as it is, as slick as this track is going to get, man, it's just for 3 years.
Van Gisbergen the pass up to place now.
Not that hard. Lead over 6 seconds. That's when you start winding the laps down, 39 to go. Chandler Smith is thinking, we're short track racing. There's going to be a caution. Do we come against tires? What's our strategy as this race winds down? Now, he's obviously hoping we don't get any caution. I would be pretty sure we will.
We had overtime here last year, a really dramatic finish. See the last lap speed. Lane Riggs in the 34 points leader running second, 5.5 seconds behind Smith.
Their lap. Chandler's truck maybe petered out. Chandler's this been the fastest trucks this last time by. Traffic everywhere though around this little racetrack.
Well, as Lane get back in the pack early in the middle of the race, didn't handle the way he wanted. Obviously, Richie Dylan Fellow made the right calls. The communication between Lane and Dylan is incredible. So they made the right call. They changed it to go faster.
Now, like the fellow raced in the Cars Tour event last night. It's cool that you're race Cars too. He understands the lingo, what challenges his drivers faced with. Christian Eckes there in the 91 truck doing a great job. Top 3 position and is able to track right with Lane Riggs.
By the way, this is the longest green flag run of the day.
Longest stage of the
65
day.
laps.
Look at that traffic. I talked about what
Wow, big slide.
Chandler's going through. He's got trucks all around him. Old Butcher just ahead in that 13 truck. Having a solid day. The red truck there on the outside of Frankie. Those two guys, Cole Butcher and Chandler Smith, are on 2 ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
One of them was dying for a caution. The other one says no caution.
Been a steep learning curve for Thor Sport. Season's had some bright moments. 11th last week at Line Rock finish. If you look at that right there, Michael, you're exactly right. They pretty much just been breaking even. It's who catches the wrong lap truck at the wrong place at the right place. So it's pretty much breaking even. Josh, you got more on Riggs?
Yeah, Todd, you talked about the changes that they needed to make in that workshop. He's complaining about not being able to finish the race out of stage 1. They made a track bar air pressure adjustment. After that, he said, whatever you changed, they took away my drive ball. And so they went back on those changes during the last stop. And he feels much better about that truck right now. The only guy in front of him, his teammate.
Yeah, one, two, Pro Motorsports.
How many changes on that, Mike? Make a change and say, crew chief, that wasn't the right one. Let's go back. Here's Eckes. You talked about it, Michael. In the 91 started 18th up to 3rd place here, Lane.
Yeah, Lane got around him, but hasn't driven away from Christian.
Continues to work on lap traffic. Getting underneath Mini Tyrell.
SVG, Shane Van Gisbergen, is faster right now. As you see that 71 truck just runs lower on the tracks than everybody, like that Kursky rush.
These were 2 when we were running down the pit before the race. These were 2 that we said, starting deep in the field, are going to make some hay. They certainly have, with Eckes up to 3rd and SVG up to 4th.
There's Gio in the top 5. Solid run for driver of the 17 truck. Got Foyler.
Much for a this race by Chase Elliott there in the 7 truck for Spire Motorsports. He's back in 8th, right in front of Corey Heim at 9th. See Stuart Friesen here to start at 10th and up to 6th.
Yeah, look on the bottom. Landon was he's going to get that task done, I believe. He just ran
25 laps to go this time by. Chandler Smith is still out ahead by about 5.7 seconds over Lane Riggs and 6.5 seconds to the 3rd place truck of Christian Eckes. Smith has dominated this final stage. He's led every lap so far since restarting in the lead, and he has eclipsed the most laps led to this point. 79 laps led to Hocevar's 74 before his flat tire late in stage 2. Actually just updated on my screen, 82 laps led for Chandler Smith. 25 for the Stage 1 winner and 2nd place driver, Lane Riggs, who started on the pole in this one as well. Chase Elliott led for 1 lap on pit stops under caution. None on the racetrack during green. Jake Garcia had some pit strategy to lead 22 of them. And Ty Majeski, who won stage number 2, 23 laps led there on his pit strategy as well. So Thor Sport kind of going off to get the lead, get some track position, which helped both of those drivers at the points and times at which they took those strategy calls. Of course, Majeski to win the stage, getting 10 points for stage 2. And then Jake Garcia ended up finishing in the top 5 in the 2nd stage because of that same strategy call as well. Led for a little bit. Once he fell out of the lead, he started falling back, but still ultimately a much better finishing order in that stage than what he was running for most of the day, and is running now, right now, down the home stretch. Battle for third on track between Christian Eckes and Shane Van Gisbergen. And boy, SVG loose up out of turn 4, trying to steer clear to the inside of Eckes. Eckes going to give him plenty of room down to the bottom of the track now, widening his line out through turns 1 and 2. Meanwhile, on the other end of the racetrack, Chandler Smith going to lead another lap. 20 laps to go for Smith. And what has been a very dominating race for him. 7-second lead over Lane Riggs now, as he is pulling away even from the 34 truck late. When these two were in traffic earlier, Lane Riggs looked faster than Hocevar, who was leading laps at the beginning in front of him. But Chandler Smith was having faster lap times on a more consecutive basis, though he qualified 9th versus Riggs starting on pole. So it had taken him a bit to get to the front of the field. He did not lead at all in the first 2 stages. All of his laps led today have been in stage 3, but he's making the most of it. It took Riggs a little bit of time to get up to second because of restarting a little bit further back in the pack, kind of similar to Chandler Smith back in stage 1. And although Riggs was able to get to second, he's just been so far behind. At this point, it's probably going to take a caution and a restart to try to jump him. I don't know if we see pit stops if a caution comes out, because Smith's fall off has only been about a half of a second from the start of the run, and that's with over 80 green flag laps on these tires right now. It would take a lot of trucks pitting to kind of derail any sort of a real shot that Chandler Smith would have to win this race on those older tires. I think you're going to have to see only maybe a truck or 2 stay out and then maybe not be able to hold off drivers on fresh tires behind him. But if there's a couple rows there, I don't see anybody making up that quick of time. So SVG did complete the pass for third on Christian Eckes, as I mentioned moments ago. He's got a real shot at second place here. He's been faster than the leaders the last several laps. Problem is, again, his deficit to the lead is quite great, but if we get a late caution, he's very much in it. And in case of a late yellow, a chance to restart in the front row, he needs to get by Lane Riggs for second. Try to split those front row motorsport teammates up who had finished 1-2 in this race last season. And it's weird, though, because last year Lane Riggs was much more dominant in the race than Chandler Smith, but Smith was able to get the win. And this year the rules reversed, where Chandler Smith's the one leading all the laps late. Lane Riggs is the driver in second, trailing and unable to set that same pace consistently to his teammate. Are we going to get another late race caution to give Riggs a late shot? And we know how good he is on restarts. Definitely one of the more aggressive drivers in this series. And it's worked for him a lot of 2026 with those 4 wins, including 3 in the last 4 races. Top 10, only 2 Cup drivers. Yeah, Hocevar had the flat tire earlier. His pace is still up there at the top 10, even with damage. And then Chase Elliott in 7th. Who, again, early in the run, faded a bit, fell back to 10th, back up to 7th the longer the run goes. And we saw that earlier today as well. You could consider Corey Heim, because he's part-time across the top 3 series. He's won a Cup race. He'll be full-time in the Cup series already next year. If you want to consider him a Cup driver, he's also in the top 10 and 9th. Definitely Cup caliber driver. And Christopher Bell has faded throughout the day. Started in row 2. And as the race has gone on, just hasn't been able to hold positioning on the racetrack. He's actually the last truck in the lead lap in 14. And Stuart Friesen, his teammate that he was getting outran by earlier, was getting outran by Bell. Now Friesen late on 6 positions ahead, and he's the one in the top 10 over the 62. Lead growing. 8.8 seconds ahead of Riggs is Chandler Smith with just 8 laps to go. Every point matters here. Ty Majeski trying to pick up a spot late on his teammate Jake Garcia. That battle is for 12th on track. Hayden Honeycutt in the 11, not that far in front of the both of them. And 11th. Christopher Bell just went a lap down at the hands of Chandler Smith. Where if a caution comes out, that's less trucks on the lead lap late. Only 13 of them on the lead lap now. 2 trucks out of the race today. That's it. We've had 2 Single truck spins, caution free in the final stage. In a 250-lap race here at North Wilkesboro, flying by. If we don't catch a caution, it's going to be over in less than an hour and 45 minutes. Tomorrow's Cup race will be 450 laps. Our live commentary coverage for that will begin at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. And the race will start just after 7 p.m. Eastern on the channel. TNT bringing the coverage, and it's the semifinals, round of 4 for the in-season tournament challenge. And that quest for $1 million. All right. 3 to go this time by for Riggs. Chase Elliott trying to get another position on Ruggiero. That battle is for 6th. Langdon Lewis pretty quietly breaking up into the top 5, getting by Ruggiero Layton. We got a slow truck on track. The 76 has compacted the wall, but much like Hocevar at the end of stage 2, NASCAR going to keep it green. Kind of set that precedent with Hocevar earlier in the race. That slow truck on the racetrack like that after a flat tire, they're just going to keep it green with that truck on the inside. Out of the way of the rest of the field. Smith still working through lap traffic. Garcia trying to stay on the lead lap late. Caden Honeycutt in 11, same thing. Doesn't have to press to pass him now, though, because the white flag is in the air. 1 lap to go for Chandler Smith. Tyler Wright just crunched the wall right in front of the leaders. Final time into turns 3 and 4. Smith's going to try to lap Wright as well. He's just trying to lap everybody 3 wide to the inside, and he does it. Dominant truck, dominating win for Chandler Smith at North Wilkesboro Speedway. 8.6 second margin of victory, and only the top 11 only the top 10 trucks finish on the lead lap. Ripe, Honeycutt, Garcia all went a lap down in the last 2 laps of the race, 11, 12, 13. Impressive win by Smith, arguably his most impressive win in the Craftsman Truck Series level. That truck was so fast here this afternoon. A 1-2 finish for Front Row Motorsports in the Truck Series at North Wilkesboro Speedway. 2 years in a row that has been the case, and the same 2 drivers finishing first and second for that team. And in the same order, Chandler Smith, a winner at North Wilkesboro Speedway 2 years in a row. And again, Lane Riggs, 8.6 seconds back, finishing at second. An impressive run by Shane Van Gisbergen on an oval, finishing 3rd in his 3rd career truck race today. Christian Eck is 4th, and Landon Lewis for Nice Motorsports, rounding out the top 5 with an impressive run of his own in 5th. Gio Ruggiero in 6th, Chase Elliott 7th, Stuart Breeze in 8th, Corey Heim 9th, and Ty Majeski finishes out the top 10. Majeski also a stage win in there today. Tyler Wright finishes 11th, Caden Honeycutt 12th, Jake Garcia last truck. It scores him on the lead lap, but he did get passed late by Smith. Only the top 10 finished on the lead lap. So Wright finished 11th, Honeycutt 12th, and Garcia 13th. Christopher Bell 14th, Ben Rhodes 15th, Dawson Sutton in 16th, Nick Light 17th, Tanner Gray 18th, Tyler Rinker 19th, and Daniel Hemmer 20th. 21st for Brennan Queen, Cole Butcher 22nd, Andres Perez 23rd, Ryan Newman 24th, and Grant Enfinger 25th. Justin Haley, 26th, Carson Hocevar, 27th, 28th for Minnie Tyrell, Corey LaJoy, 29th, and 30th, Chris Wright. Clayton Green, 31st, Breaking Muniz, 32nd, Nathan Nicholson, 33rd, Luke Baldwin, 34th, Casey Klein, 35th, and Donovan Strauss, 36th. 2 drivers DNF in this afternoon's race. 1 hour, 42 minutes, 19 seconds to complete all 250 laps. 4 cautions, 2 per incident, both in the first 2 stages. Caution free in stage 3 in that last green flag run, roughly 100 laps. 7 lead changes, 34 laps of yellow. And again, Chandler Smith, your race winner, ended up leading the most laps in the race as well. 103 laps led for Chandler Smith today. Stage 1 winner, 25 laps led for Lane Riggs. Also the pole sitter, 1 for Chase Elliott. 23 for Ty Majeski in a stage 2 win. Jake Garcia led for 22. Carson Hocevar, second most laps led today. 74 laps led for him before a flat tire at the end of the second stage. That is your race results for this one. Congratulations to Chandler Smith. He's on the front stretch, and here's an interview with our race winner of today's race.
second win. And he takes it by the largest margin in the history of the series, nearly 8.5
Wow.
seconds on race.
Largest
Speechy
margin of victory in series history.
Give it the bow. That's
Bush, racers we all miss Kyle deeply. He defined the truck series, and it's really cool to see these winners pay respects.
no question. Amanda Busick is standing by with the win.
And Chandler, for back-to-back seasons, you get to stand in front of this crowd at North Wilkesboro on their feet on that finish. And I have to tell you, the booth status stat at the end there that this is the largest margin of victory on a short track in series history.
On a short track.
They told us early in stage one that you looked like the truck to beat. How soon did you know?
Just all glory goes to God. Faith Fest 250, how fitting. God's good in the mountains, but man, he's good in the valleys too. When we've been in the valleys the past few weekends, we've had good speed, not good finishes. So I just want to give all the glory and praise to the one that comes from the source of this. If it wasn't for God, I wouldn't have this great group of men and women behind me at Front Row Motorsports. Great partners with Quick Tie Products. Everybody from the top down that supported this program. I'm slapped. It was hot.
We took a look back at your victory at Daytona, and then we did talk about that slump in the last two races. How chase ready is this team?
We're ready to rip.
Chandler Smith, your winner here at North Wilkesboro.
Candidate third in points. It's a 1-2 for Front Row. His second win of the year. And for Chandler Smith, his 9th career win in this series.
I heard Chandler say he's whooped. There's not a.
I don't blame him. He was leaning up against the truck for the entirety of that interview. Water bottle in hand. Now a Gatorade is there. 90-degree day like this. It was hot inside the race trucks and a lot of drivers struggling. They definitely had to put together a great deal of mental fortitude to get through today's race. Thanks to everybody tuning in for this afternoon's Craftsman Truck Series action at North Wilkesboro. We will be back live again tomorrow night for the Cup race, and that will be at about 6:30 p.m. Eastern, beginning with our pre-race there. Hope to see you for that one. And again, thanks for watching. I will see you guys tomorrow night. Congrats to Chandler Smith, winner of today's race. Have a good rest of your Saturday, y'all.